Our next presenter is somebody I've known a long time, and she supplied a bio. It was a minimal bio, but I'm going to dutifully read it. Robin Hill, adjunct UW philosophy faculty, will be speaking on everyday fallacies and the holes in our logic. Robin Hill has taught logic, computer science, and information systems at several universities, and is a graduate of the University of Wyoming Philosophy Department. All of which is very true and very worthy. Robin is a great figure at the University of Wyoming, but I said, Robin, you're about so much more than your PhD. I know how cool you are. So I dragged, before this show started, I dragged some information out of Robin. So she said, well, I've been on the Civic Center board. I've been on the editorial board of the Boomerang. I guess you could call me an old-fashioned community busybody, which I like. We all need an old-fashioned community busybody. But another really great thing about Robin, which suggests the depth of her connection to this town that she lives in, is that her great-grandparents built a house on Ivinson Street in 1887, and she and her husband still live there today. So that's roots and continuity and commitment to Laramie. Please welcome Robin Hill on Strawman and Red Herrings.
Thank you, Peter. Our house is actually on Grand, as you know. You've been there. So I'm going to talk about logic, which means that Peter's introduction may be the most exciting part. Well, let's just see. I want to promote the application of logic to public discussions, which seem to be hampered by fallacies sometimes. An argument, the unit of logic, is not a shouting match. It's a chain of reasoning intended to lead to a conclusion. So this passage that's shown here is not an argument. This is a set of demands. We want safer conditions, better management, etc. But this is an argument. This passage contains a chain of reasoning about whether people are going to show up at a certain event. And the reasoning mechanism is good. The chain holds. Here's the same example with the parts labeled. First we have the premises and a line signifying the therefore, and we have the conclusion. And the chain holds. Here's the other example. This is just a one-premise argument. If the premise is true, and in fact it is, the conclusion follows because the reasoning mechanism is good. Now, two things justify the conclusion, as we've seen: true premises and good reasoning. Arguments can fail on either count. We see right there an example of false premises. Kale is good for you because leafy green vegetables are good for you. Here's an example of which has bad reasoning. So it fails. Its conclusion does not follow because the mechanism is bad. You don't have to read all of this text. I'm sort of using it as placeholders and talking you through it. Some fallacies are common enough that they've earned names. We're going to look at the last three here: false dichotomy, strawman, and red herring. These are usually embedded in lengthy passages, lengthy chains of reasoning, but we're going to take them in a simple way. False dichotomy pretends that only two extreme and opposed conclusions are possible. So we see a passage here about a guy who's either going to end up in jail if he doesn't, or join the army. That's not warranted. He could do other things. Strawman distorts the conclusion and then refutes the distortion. Here's someone who's arguing that he can't drink green tea because they don't have the right cups. Yes, that's a straw man. A red herring is a distractor thrown into an argument. Here's someone who's trying to divert attention away from recycling onto garbage trucks. So that sort of derails the original reasoning. Current examples in the public domain include the war on coal, immigration of children alone, and hate crime in the Matt Shepard case. I have carefully constructed passages that contain fallacies. There are, of course, many ways to express your opinion on any of these issues. The war on coal, you push for stringent air quality requirements, but coal mines have already taken a hit. You just want to put coal mines out of business. Is this conclusion distorted? Yes. Yes, I would say so. The conclusion attacked, we should put the coal mines out of business, is a distortion of we want clean air. In the case of the immigration of children alone, a live issue on the border, you say that minor children who cross the border legally should be deported. The conditions are inhumane, though. The drug war terrorizes communities. Americans are the biggest drug customers. Is there a misdirection of theme here? Yes, the conclusion American users are responsible for drug violence is a distraction from the concern about security, legality of immigration, and so forth. Now, with collaboration and good faith, we can rewrite some of these thoughts into better attempts at an argument. We're not going to follow up on this, but here's a version of child immigration that is clear enough that we could ask whether the premises are true and the reasoning is good. Same for this version of the war on coal. We can express it more clearly and we can ask whether the premises are true and the reasoning is good. So the last example, hate crime in the Matt Shepard case, a recent book by Stephen Jimenez, challenges the view that Shepard murder was a hate crime. This is scary because we fear that either the murder was a hate crime or else our campaign for tolerance is meaningless. Of course, that's not true. We are worried about this argument emerging, but no, it's invalid. The first premise is a false dichotomy, and therefore we don't have to accept that conclusion. That conclusion does not hold. So, we don't have to be afraid of analysis and logic. We should investigate arguments. We should extract the premises and conclusion. We should assess them on their merits and do constructive things for public policy. All of you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed people out there are just exactly the ones to do it. Thank you.